Hey guys, 2LNL here. Today I'll be showing you how to make these AI generated drum fills that are actually usable in your projects, like this, and this. So the first thing you want to do is go over to Google's MusicLM. This is part of their AI test kitchen thingy-mabobber. Now, this does have a wait list, but don't fear, it's pretty quick. I got in like 2 days. But even if you don't want to wait for the wait list, you can still make these AI generated fills with a second technique in the video, so don't worry about it. So the prompt I like using is just solo drum fill or solo complex drum fill, and obviously you can mess around with this. But you can hit generate here, and it takes around, 15 seconds to generate a song. Oh, even quicker. And these are quite short clips. You can listen to them here. Pretty standard. So what you'll want to do is just listen to both of these, maybe regenerate a few times. And the ones you like, you can just download by pressing the ... and then download. So now you can just put all those AI samples into a folder. I have them here. This one sounds good to me, so I'll just drag it in. It's a little bit silly, but that's alright. That little part is good there. See the intro. I'll take that as well. So just find some clips that you like. Seems good to me. And for this next part, you can also just use normal drum fills as an intro. So obviously you can use these AI ones as they are right now, but let me grab some other ones as well. Okay, there's a normal one as well. I'll just take that beginning part. So I'd actually recommend not messing around with the tempo of these right away, because we're going to be converting them into a new sample first anyway. So the other thing we can do is grab this thing called Scyclone. You can just get it from this GitHub page, and of course all these links are going to be in the description. So over here on the side of the GitHub page is the release, so you can just download it from there. And then you'll want to get this Windows zip file. In there, there'll just be a VST3, which you can throw right into your C program files, common files VST3, which is the default VST3 install folder. Most programs just put the VST3 in there by default, so some people don't know where that is. So after you get that plugin downloaded, you can find it in VST3, Torsion Audio, and then Scyclone. And what this essentially does is transfers the tone of your drums to some AI generated drums. So here's just the default settings. Sounds a bit weird. I like turning up the mix to 100% so you can actually hear it. By default, it uses these funk drums, but I like the djembe a lot more. So you can change this fade slider to switch over to it. Then also make sure to press this little power button here. I don't know why it's off by default. I like it over in this sharp attack section. So that doesn't sound very good on its own, but what we can do is open up another track and switch it to resampling. On like FL Studio, you could use like Edison to do this or something, and just record a bunch of takes of this going over the initial sample. And the nice thing about this is going to be a little bit different each time. So essentially it's like generating infinite drum fills. Another thing you can do is pitch up these initial samples by an octave and switch the mode over here to this forward arrow under beats, and that allows you to shorten the transients on the initial audio. There might be some transients missing, so you can just double click and add them in. These are kind of Ableton only features though, so I'm not sure if there's anything equivalent in other programs. Anyway, now that we got a few of these, we can just delete the initial track. Obviously you can keep it if you want to, and then I'll just find some of these that I like. That one sounds pretty good. Sure, why not? That one's too loud. But honestly, most of these work. Now you just want to do a little bit of cleaning up. So in this one, for example, there's a little click at the end, and we don't really want that, so you can just cut it off. And now is the part where you'll want to sync it to the BPM. So I just like dragging it here until it's at the first beat, and then just selecting and dragging all the transients. You can double click on them to like realize them as actual things you can drag around. Add transients for the ones that are missing. And then make sure the mode is on this forward transients mode. That sounds pretty good. You can also pitch it up by an octave to get like a high sound, which I really like. That's definitely good for like high energy fills and stuff. It's a little bit more choppy though, of course. Sometimes you'll get these artifacts in the middle like this. And we don't really want that, so we can just like move over the other part. And this part is cut off here as well, which is kind of annoying, so I'll just delete that whole thing. And then you can reconsolidate this into one clip. start at the first beat, move it over on the grid, and then do the same deal of stretching the warp markers. Sounds good as well. But now once you have a few of these, we can do some post-processing. So the chain I normally like to do is first a transient shaper. I just like using the kilohertz one. And this will essentially just make it a little bit more punchy, a little bit more clicky, and just louder in general as well. You can change the speed here to be higher to get a more clicky sound, which I think sounds nice. Then I like grabbing a soft clipper. I use Ableton Saturator. If you grab the saturator and then switch the mode from analog clip to wave shaper, then at around 6 dB of gain, if you turn on the soft clip, it'll just kind of not have any difference. But it is soft clipping. And then if you turn up this value as well, you can get it to be louder, and then I'll turn down the output a bit. And in order to see what this is doing, I can use Melda Audio's loudness analyzer. So you can see here, we'll turn it up a little bit more. It just cuts off the tips of those transients. So I think that sounds around good. This will probably also sound cool if we go up an octave. Both of those are cool. And then lastly, these are all mono. The resampling, I think, makes it stereo, but both of these AI systems just make mono sounds. So in order to fix that, I like using Melda Audio Stereo Generator. This one is not free, unfortunately. And that sounds pretty cool, makes it a lot wider. And then we can also throw on some fresh air, which is free, to give some extra top end. And that's sounding like a real drum fill. Now, if you don't have stereo generator, you can also use something like a short room reverb in Ableton's hybrid reverb. If you switch the blend all the way to the left, then you just get the convolution reverb part. And with some low dry wets and maybe cutting out the bottom of this EQ, you can get a somewhat similar effect. And now I didn't sync these all up with tempo and get rid of all the artifacts, but I'll just play through some of them with this processing. Well, that one's nice. Yeah, listen to that. I'll get this one synced up. Nice. So now what we can do to save all of these is freeze this track and then flatten it. And I'll get rid of these tails here. And now what we can do is just battery name all of these to djembe AI break or whatever. And then what you can do is consolidate each one. And you can consolidate just by pressing Ctrl J in Ableton. And now if you look up djembe AI break, you'll see we have all of these saved in our results. So now you can drag these over to your user library and make a folder for like AI breaks or whatever, and you can just really quickly make like hundreds of these. But since it's so easy to make, you can even just make new ones for every track on the fly if you want. Here's a little clip from my newest song where I use some of these AI generated samples. Anyway, hope you liked that little tip. Hope you can use these if you don't like making drum fills. Of course, if you do like making drum fills, then keep doing it by all means, because don't let the AI take the creativity from you. Do the things you like doing, and you can automate the things you don't like doing. I don't really like making drum fills personally. I'm more of a bass design guy myself. When AIs can automate bass design well, then I'll probably keep doing it manually anyway. If you want to check out this new song, then you can click on it on the end screen right now. Look at that. Anyway, that's all for now. See ya.